Yeah, thank you. Nice that so many people are here, and I want to entertain you a little bit today about remote yacht hacking. So um, the first promise that I can give you is I will start a little bit boring because we have to learn some basic stuff, but then it's becoming more and more fun. But the other thing is 30 minutes I have. I think I will extend it a little bit, so maybe 45 minutes to show everything, but I hurry up that we get early on lunch. So, but we have enough time for that. Yeah, normally I first starting with that movie, but I don't think that we have some audio there now. But yeah, as you all know, or mostly should know, that it's from the movie Hackers, 1996. By the way, Angelina Jolie's second movie. And at the end, then you see already one of the nice targets against vessels. So they implemented the Da Vinci virus into the cargo ship and try to let it canter. So is this nowadays possible or not? We will see. So we have some overviews over that. So I will start with a short introduction of me, my team, one by one, or 101, it doesn't matter how you name it. Then we look into router and SATCOM vulnerabilities, autonomous ships, and then we have a short Q&A. Why yacht hacking? Has someone an idea why yacht and not only vessels? Expensive, yes. Okay. Mostly they are privately owned, or you can charter them, but mostly by people they have big money. And most of the CEOs running their own ships and running their businesses from those yachts. So when you target a yacht or the network of a yacht, you maybe can target one of those CEOs who is on a stock and get some information in front of it. How we will do it, we will see later. And of course, celebrities. They renting them, going then to Saint-Tropez or other places and laying there with their ships and around. And think about then what could happen when you own the network and what could happen when you own the entertainment systems. Maybe the best paparazzi system ever. I don't know. Okay, a little bit about me. So my Twitter handle is Obi1666. I'm older than the internet. I'm certified for a couple of certifications like a forensic analyst, CISSP, and so on. I'm an electronic specialist. Was working for the German Army for helicopter services for navigation systems. And by the way, I'm now 31 years as a firefighter working in the volunteer firefighting service. So that's my real passion. And in my company, I'm working as a security evangelist for the Rosen Group. So we work in the oil and gas industry and also in the certification. It's the latest spin-off of our company where I do pen testing stuff and that. I'm volunteering in the Geraffel Group. It's a group of hacker nerds at the best, or a bunch of old hackers, and also in the cavalry where I'm supporting the maritime track since a year. So we have an own chapter for maritime security in that. Yeah, let's start. So in the past months there were a couple of newspaper articles about what happened. So how hackers are attacking the shipping industry, hackers kapert Yacht per laptop, cybercrime on high sea, and so on. And this one then was that when I started to think about, maybe there's something more about that. So this was last year. That was the second tragic collision of a US naval warship with a merchant ship. And then I make a summary about that. So last year we had 4 accidents of US Navy ships. And yesterday we had a Norwegian frigate collided with a crude oil tanker. So why the hell always military ships colliding with commercial ships? So the The rumors came always fast up. Maybe someone hacked the navigation system or satellite system and so on. So yeah, and I will dig a deep into it, what is possible, for example, GPS manipulation and other things. So to have a brief understanding about that. So that was the free gate from yesterday. Just a small recap about maybe fake news or something like that. So this was the free gate that was tilting there, and this was the commercial tank ship. And as you can see, this is one of the marine traffic website I took. And here you see this was in the video footage. There are some crashes on the side. So the video make you assumptions about the ship was colliding into the merchant ship. But when we look at the picture here, this one is taken from June this year. So the scratches are still on there. So it was already damaged, but it has nothing to do with the colliding here with the Navy ship. So just to recognize that sometimes you have to also verify the news in good newspapers. Yeah, vessel, yachts, and so on. A yacht is normally a recreational boat. The term originates from the Dutch word from yachting. And yachting is a word for hunting. And the Dutch people or the Dutch government used it in the past for hunting pirates in the shallow waters of their lower countries. So there the term came from yachting because of small and fast vessels. And yeah. And of course, size matters. So when you have a boat up to 7 meters, sometimes you maybe have GPS on it. And you mostly drive it only near to the coast. Then yachts are starting already since bigger than 10 meters. They mostly have GPS and autopilot sometimes. Then we have super yachts and mega yachts. So mega yachts are the very nice ones above 50 meters and so on. So this one is like a super yacht. It's 40 meters. It's one of the German television celebrities. What we have on board. So we have some kind of vessel traffic services. It's a system for that. So I come in detail later on it. So automatic identification systems, autopilot, GPS, radar, camera, thermal imaging, engine control units, internet access, entertainment systems, and so on. With all that stuff is connected through a network. The National Marine Electronic Association, the short term is NMEA, they have designed a bus system for ships. Here we have a combination about this is an NMEA 2000 network. It's a CAN bus. And we have here the serial bus, it's NMEA 0183, so it's a serial bus. And everything is connected here together. All the systems like engine monitor system going on the CAN bus, battery system, display of the captain, the compass. We have here a laptop with a gateway to the CAN bus, speed transducers, deep transducers, radar, GPS, wind transducers, everything is connected to those bus in the middle, so the CAN bus. So this is how it looks like. Looks like as in the older CheaperNet days. So you have T-connectors to connect everything together, and we need also terminators at the start and the end of the bus. So it's just like a CheaperNet. What we have there? So this is the old standard. It's a serial protocol. It's very slow, and the need was for more speed. So then they started with the CAN bus that I use then, and then we have already a speed up to 1 megabit. So nowadays, I think since 2010, most of the newer ships are developed with a CAN bus or the NMEA 2000 bus. And what you have to do is, it's different than in the car industry. The NMEA bus is very well documented. So when you build your own stuff, or want to build your own stuff, you have to buy the documentation about that, and then you can certify your system against that. and you have a very well standardized messages how the bus system is working. So it makes easier also for reversing the protocols on that. So this is already the next generation. Yes, Ray Marine says the Anemia protocol, they call it CTalk, they make it proprietary stuff and call it next generation, and it should be now 10 megabit Ethernet. But you can see already some of the systems. The yellow part, this is all the stuff that's needed for autopilot system. Then here's some remote control units. Here we have also one, and here are the other systems connected all together. So this is everything on the CAN bus system. And here also the other stuff of them with wind speed meters and so on. Yeah, that was for that stuff. Then we have services that we're using. So the vessel traffic services, like as we have it in the aircraft industry, they using it mostly in the harbors, that they can see, okay, here is a ship, and we have to navigate it to that position. So here is your parking position, or here is your unloading position, and so on. And they connecting all the informations and sending it over the VTS. And it using the mandatory is they're using the AIS system. We see it later. So the AIS system is an automatic identification system. So it operating normally on VHF transmitters, but it could also be done on over satellite. And the thing is that the AIS system using GPS information from the GPS receiver and putting the information in the AIS protocols. So, and as we learned, the AIS is then used for the VTS. So it's a little bit confusing, but that's a basic understanding that you have to have for that. So, yeah, like similar to GPS, and GPS should be normally the primary navigation, but they're starting more and more to rely on automatic navigation systems when you have two different GPS systems. If this is a good idea, I don't know. Yeah. Okay, then we have one very necessary services. We every time when we go on the water, we need charts of the water where we travel. So, and therefore there's an electronic chart display and information system called ACTIS. So the ACTIS system has a digital card map like Google Maps for waters and waterways, and there are also, as we can see here, the deep of the water is also displayed in it, and the position of our ship and position of other ships, and the speed and the heading, the course that we are using. And the thing that we have to know is the ACTIS informations using radar, Navtex, automatic AIS system. So the ACTIS system is also using the AIS, and the AIS getting the information from GPS. So that's how they combining together. And last but not least, we have the IT equipment stuff on board. So internet access, for example, over GSM, Wi-Fi or satellite communication. And we have also entertainment systems, Wi-Fi stuff for the crew, for the guests, or for the owners, or for remote monitoring of machines or something like that. And sometimes we have also voice over IP systems. To get an idea about IT equipment on board, so this is a server rack on a 40-meter yacht. So here we have the router for the internet. We have 3 servers here. We have 2 voice over IP gateways for the internal telephone system. We have a fully equipped switch, and we have an UPS device. And some other stuff like 10 smart TVs in the cabins, 1 chart PCs, and 14 voice over IP telephones, and so on. And 4 access points for Wi-Fi coverage. I know from a 70-meter yacht, they have already not 4 access points, they have 26 access points on the ship in the 70 meters class. So if it's becoming more and more, so you have more and more stuff on the ships. What else have we? So, yeah, you can say yachts are becoming more and more smart ships. You can control most of the systems on board, like the lightning control, the curtain control, and so on. You can look at the engine monitoring. You can take a look at the radars, and so on. And all that stuff is displayed on your mobile devices like iPads or tablets or whatever. And also in the entertainment system, you can play your videos and audio and so on. So all that stuff you can control already. So what kind of attack vectors we have then? So I draw then a network map about that, how I understand how the network is working. So from the attack side, we have, okay, we can go over the air. Let's take attack in the internet routers, the satellite system, also, or that part. Or we can try to attacking the computer devices of the crew or the owner of the ship by social engineering attacks, for example, or spear phishing or phishing, and so on. Another thing is maybe we can try to manipulate mobile end devices like mobile phones or tablets. And once we are in, we can look for vulnerabilities in the gateways that connect in the TCP/IP network to the CAN bus. And of course, we have also other systems like, for example, the autopilot. For the autopilot, there is also a remote handheld for that. I'll show you later. So, and maybe you can directly attacking the CAN bus itself. Yeah, these are then the different attack vectors that we have. So it's a small listing about that. Let's starting with the first things. So GNSS, the Global Navigation Satellite System, easier said, GPS is easier. So most people say GPS, but they mean GNSS. So we have 4 different GPS systems. So we have the Navstar GPS, that's the one from the United States. We have GLONASS, that's a Russian version. We have Galileo, that's from the European Union. And we have Baidu from the Chinese. So we have 4 different navigation systems for satellite navigation now. What is the similarity for all of them? Most of them using only the L1 band, so the right side. So, and on the right side, you see only a few frequencies that they use. So the L2 band and L5 band is more military stuff and it's encrypted. So all of the private stuff, it's done on the L1 band. The 2 scenarios that we have is jamming or spoofing. So jamming is quite simple, just have a sender that jam the radio frequency and then it's done. And for spoofing, we have to do a little bit more. For spoofing, we have to spoof 3 satellite signals that are valid, and you have to know the position of that and send the signals to the receiver. It's a little bit complicated, but you can do it. And there are devices that you can buy for that. So they called GPS simulators or GNSS simulators. You can buy that stuff on some websites here. I've shown you one sample. I think from €1,000 up, there is no limit. And normally you use it to buy it to calibrate your stuff, what you develop on GPS systems and so on. But with different antennas, long-range antennas and so on, you can also fake GPS system out there. But yeah, it's illegal. Another thing where I'm currently working on is, as in the introduction, the GPS system, the receiver sending the signal directly to the CAN bus or to the NMEA bus. This is a 2 by 2 centimeter system on a chip GPS receiver, and it sends out directly on 2 pins the GPS coordinates in an NMEA format. Costs €13. So with those small devices, you can also experiment your own stuff. And then you have there is simulator software, like at atlsoft.de, there's a GPS simulator, and you can inject your own GPS messages directly onto the serial bus. So when you set up a a lab system for yourself, then you can experiment with the things, and then you can see already, okay, I have a GPS receiver, I have a device that's displaying, for example, the GPS coordinates, how it is reacting when you send the messages, how it reacts when you send fake messages directly afterwards. So that's a nice testing example. There's another thing that we can do. There are experiments how to detect GPS jamming. So GPS jamming is quite common, mostly when NATO troops do some military exercises, then the Russians try to disturb the signals. So the Norwegians have always problems with them and complaining all the times that the pilots have some problems with GPS when the NATO maneuver is done there. So currently there is one, they complained already. And for that, a couple of years before the US Navy starting again to teaching navigation with sextants, they stopped anyhow with teaching the captains navigation with sextant because of they had no time, no money, whatever. And the more and more complaints about GPS security came up, they starting, I think 4 years, 5 years again, they starting with the training of that. And I think the first ones they trained was in Germany. So, okay, security of GPS. So there is a project running from the DLR in Germany. They have a 2x2 antenna array, and with this array they can validate the system signals of the GPS antennas that it is coming from the air or from the side. By calculating about that, they know, okay, this is the flat antenna here, then they can see, okay, the signal is maybe coming from the side or it's coming from a satellite. So that's a very nice project about that. It's still under development, it's still in testing phase, but it's doing very well. I think in a couple of years we will see that more and more. AIS system. Some basics of the AIS systems. What we get for information is, like in a mobile system, we have an MMSI, that is the original number of that. Then it gives some status information about we are at anchor, underway, or something like that, and speed, course, and so on. And the thing is, we're running on VHF channel A and B on 161 megahertz and 162 megahertz. It's not that much, and you can do already very nice experiments with. So take your software-defined radio device, download the SDL file, and you can already experiment with receiving your own signals. You can also fake the system when you change some part of the chart, but that's, as already said, illegal. What else we have? I mentioned autopilot system. So currently I have only a few information about that. I have lack of system that I can test with. So if someone has an yacht with an autopilot system with remote handheld, then it would be fine when I can come there. But this one was of that system. So this is the receiver and this is the handheld. So then I started to analyzing it. Okay, what is it? How it is working? So it is a remote unit for an autopilot system. So it must communicate anyhow. And the thing is, okay, I looked up with the pictures on the websites and I found then the device, and then FCC ID is your friend. Then you find, okay, it's an autopilot system from maybe Raymarine, and it's communicating on 2.45 gigahertz. It's not wireless. It's wireless, yes, but it's not Wi-Fi. It's something different. So it comes out on the FCC ID website. You find information about, okay, they're using an Atmega 64 microprocessor, and they're using their own protocol stack called Ember stack on it. And yeah, that's the part now. With this information, I'm now needing RF signals with an hack RF or something like that, and then I can start to analyze it. But it's a future project, maybe next year. Now we come to the main part that I found. So, as I mentioned, the story with the naval ship and the accident, my story started maybe 1 year in front of that. So I was building an internet system into in a yacht of a friend, and at the end of it, I explained to the captain how the system is working. So I started my Wireshark on the laptop, analyzed how the software is working. We're drinking a bottle of wine. I explained everything to him, and then okay. And after that, so I opened my Wireshark dumps that I've made, and then I looked into the protocols, and that's the story what we see now. So this was the system, by the way. It's an it's a vendor Locomarine, but it's a MikroTik device inside, and this one is a MikroTik Wi-Fi extender. The extender is quite hard, so we can have 50 nautical miles Wi-Fi access, so because it has 1.6 watt electrical energy on the Wi-Fi booster, and also GSM access we have. So this is the software, and what the software does is, okay, the software connects. When you start a software, it connects with FTP to the router. So what the fuck? Then it downloads an XML file. This XML file is then on your computer or your tablet or whatever. You change something in the configuration, and then it's uploading the XML file back to the router, and everything over FTP. So I had now the dumps from the Wireshark session, and it turns out, yeah, FTP is clear text, and they're using hard-coded credentials. So why? The username is Loco. For all the Spanish people here, Loco is something mad or, yeah. And I love the password, secure connecting user. It's still funny. Okay, this also then, yeah, and then after recognizing this, so they're using FTP, there must be more, And then I looked up, okay, taking ILSpy, loaded the software in the ILSpy disassembler, and looking to all the systems, and then we find, okay, there is the Yacht router engine. It has the username, the password, and IP addresses, and so on, and also the Wi-Fi configuration about that. What else we can do with that? So the device is also not able to configure a firewall for that. So when you make a port scan from the internet, you find a couple of different ports there. And look at the MikroTik router version. This is, by the way, from the patched version after I reported to that. So, but it's even still outdated. Then I have another thing. They have remote support. You call them, and that's it. You say your serial number and the time when they should look on your system. You don't have to provide an IP address, so how they know it. So every time when you open the system, it makes a ping back to the owner of the company. So the IP address here, what we see is then the Locomarine owner of the company, yeah. So they're making a ping back, and they know, okay, this is the IP address of that box at that time. So, okay, how the remote support can then access the system? So from the port scan, there was the port 8291. 8291 is a Winbox management for MikroTik routers. So, as you remember maybe from the FTP, hard-coded credentials, user local, password, secure connecting user. Try to connect with the Winbox management to the IP address, and you're done. And you're root on that system now. Yeah, seriously. Yeah. You had no ability to configure a firewall or something like that in the front end on your device, but with a Winbox management software, you can do anything what you want. So it's, and you have root access. So the other thing is also in the software, the Yacht router user that's hard-coded is local, and there is a developer account called Yere. And it has also still access to the system. So even when you are able to change that, the developer has still access to the box. So, okay, I reported then everything to them. So there are some other stuff. When you don't have an idea how to get the usernames, you can try mkbrutus to open MikroTik routers or versions below 642. With this CVE, just use the Python script and the IP address, and then it gets you back the username and the password. So this is still working. The vendor response was very nice. I talked to them. They allowed me to present that all the stuff. They sent me also a test device, and then I looked up what they patched. So they're using now SSH and not FTP anymore. When you try to disassemble the software, you get error messages, but this is only for the Windows version. When you try to hide secrets by obfuscating, don't forget the applications for your iOS version, and don't forget your applications for the Android versions. So the Windows version I was not able to disassemble. I'm not, but a friend of mine helped me then. But I take the easier way. I take the APK from Android, downloaded it, and then here we go again. So they changed the username to local. They still let it be, and this is a new password. Okay, it's a strong password now, but you can still download it from the web page. This one doesn't matter. So yeah, the summary, they obfuscated but forget some things. The Android APK was not obfuscated, the iOS also not. They're still using hard-coded credentials, and that's not funny. And yeah, you can do more with that. Now I come to the last part of the thing. So SATCOM systems is another way. So when you have no Wi-Fi coverage or GSM coverage, you can communicate with the system on a high sea over SATCOM. This is a picture that I've done in the harbor of Sochi. And these are then the satellite bubbles where the communication is done. Some of them are antenna for TV, and some are for internet communication. So, yeah, as I said, offshore internet access. Many of the versions are old and outdated. And a couple of researchers already found some systems, so Sailor 900, Inmarsat, Telenor. These are already common search hints for Shodan that you can use, and then you find systems for that. And yeah, Shodan has also a ship tracker. So shiptracker.shodan.io, then you can see ships online that using the VSAT system for satellite communication, and who exposing their web services there. But there is more. So for my local marine stuff, I was researching for more and more. And then I found a hint, stabilized digital antenna systems. So, hey, wow, sounds interesting. Then I looked up more, and with this search term, you find then the devices better. So there are a couple of them online, and yeah, what it is, I started then with Fiddler or Burp Suite to analyze the front end of that. So it is then an antenna system itself. It has an ICU unit, and it's the ICU. It's more here in that part, and then it has an below deck then the computer and an MXP. So it's a media exchange the part. So that's the thing where we go to the demo, because now we're going live. My internet is working, so I'm using Shodan. Just let's look how many systems are on. Okay, today we have 17 satellite systems from that are online. What what we have here. We have Singapore, US, Italy, Brazil, Poland, and so on. So it doesn't matter, so just pick one here. Dun, 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 dun. Just take the web server. Hopefully it works, I don't know. So satellite communication is very slow, but sometimes also not working. Can we try another one? Maybe it takes too long. Come on, US. Oh, this is looking good. So this is now the front end that's coming up in a few seconds from one of those devices. So now you can log in with username and password when you have one. By the way, when you read the documentation, username and password are in the documentations, some of them working still. So, but this is not the part here. So what I done then, so okay, I looked at the source code of the web page, and what paid my attention was then JavaScript user login. So I loaded it, and then we have the JavaScript here. Scroll a little bit down because it's blah, 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 blah. This is then the funny part. Okay, if logged in as dealer, okay, let's try to get the URL called this. This is the web page. And here we go. Dun, 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 dun. It's taking a little bit longer. I can switch back to the presentation because I have some screenshots here. Later. Yeah, as said in the user login JavaScript, this is the part that gives you access to the box. This is then one of the screenshots there. This is another ship then. Signal is not very good, but it gives you also the coordinates of the ship. So you can look up then with other websites to analyze it if the information is true or not. And when you look at the configuration panes that you have here, this one is nice. Command line interface, or position antenna, or test, or whatever. So this one is then the command line interface. It gives you a few things that you can do, and also a show all command. This you can then also do with your own scripts then when you want. So a firmware upgrade possibility is also there, and so on. So you can dump files on there. I think a couple of weeks ago, someone mentioned already how big is the storage. Maybe we can dump illegal files on satellite systems, and nobody will take care about that because it's anywhere out on the high sea. And as I already mentioned, username and passwords are here from the documentation. Mostly they're also working. And then, okay, I was thinking about, someone has already found it because, I was looking up the CVE pages. If someone has found it, and then, someone was faster than I. But he only tested for one version, and I tested for, I think, all of the versions of that. And then I spoke also with the vendor about the vulnerabilities, and they said they have a version fixed. Every version greater than 200, they are fixed now with these vulnerabilities. So the 186 is from May this year. And yeah, but the problem is how to patch those systems when they're on high sea. So when they're running, there is no availability about that. Okay, then these are some other file system things that you can do with that. Yeah, what is the risk now with that? Yeah, you can increase the cost of that, or you can shut up the service, so denial of service about. So when you shut up the satellite communication for a ship when it is on high sea, it could be fucked up then to get those information maybe of, okay, I'm arriving in a couple of days, is there space for me for unloading my ship, and other things. And I have also a new vulnerability in another system. So I cannot release it, but this is a part of my source code for that. And what does it do? So it sends a couple of requests to the web page, and then the system is doing a configuration file dump into the temp folder of the web server. And then after a couple of seconds, you can go to the web page and download the configuration file with all the informations in it. And this is one part of the configuration file. You see then a couple of details here, and do not modify the section and so on. So what else is on ships? So this is now engine control unit, a part of it. It's connected to the internet, and it has also a Modbus. So different things on that. So this is, I think from DCU, it's from Automasken. The picture. So the engine control units are also connected to the network. So I know from Brian Olsen, he did a very good presentation about stuff in the engine control units. They found vulnerabilities in Automasken systems on the Modbus, on the Ethernet WAN, and so on. So hard-coded credentials also in that part here, and so on, and you are able to manipulate parameters of the engines. But there's yeah, you have to watch the presentation from Brian Olsen for that. What else? So all these stuff is then connected together, and now we're coming to autonomous ships. So autonomous ships then, maybe crewless driving without any crew members, and navigate by satellite systems, and relying on those vulnerability systems like AIS and GPS and so on. So they're building autonomous vehicles on insecure systems. So what could then happen, I would not imagine, but maybe we will see something. This is then an overview what we see. So manned ships, radar, active, and visual. And in autonomous ships, we're only using radar, active, and visual from a remote controller maybe, or only controlled by computers. So, yeah. There are already autonomous ships. So Rolls-Royce had last year a showcase with the first completely autonomous ship. So they undocked, going through another pier, then docked again, and then depart back again, and then go to the original thing. So for safety reason, they had a captain on the bridge here, just in case the autonomous system is not working, but everything else was done by a remote control unit. So when you then look a little bit more on the web pages from Rolls-Royce, they have a 6-page paper about safety and so on, but only one small sentence like this about cybersecurity risk. So it's more advertising stuff than other things. Yeah, what's next? The Anemia stuff should be more explored. Wireless autopilot, maybe I or someone else can do it. The other internet stuff has to be checked up. I can say vessel hacking is just in the beginning because there are so many things to do, so many things to research. Cloud services come also more and more. You see here one of those systems. The part that already connected they put it in the cloud service, and then you have remote access from any place of the world with your mobile devices. If that is a good idea, I don't know. Yeah, cloud services, as already mentioned. And yeah, VTS is also not really explored. Injecting NMEA messages, it's the thing that I already mentioned. And GVS spoofing protections, I think it will come in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, I don't know. Yeah. And I want to think, oh, it was a wrong one. It's a bad one. So that was here Brian Satira and Brian Olsen for their ship hacking pirate things at a DerbyCon. And yeah, my employer thanks that I always can attend those nice conferences and the ability here, and all my friends here and you for the way to attend my talk. So then I'm done with that. May the force be with you. As already mentioned, my Twitter handle or my email address. If you have any questions,
thank you, Stefan. And now
go ahead.
Thank you very much. We'll be taking questions. We have new duties. The first question is here. We'll be taking 6 questions, and then we'll be heading off to lunch.
Yeah.
You mentioned the user IDs and passwords. Are those hard-coded or can they be changed?
The user ID and password in the router or in the SATCOM?
In either one of them. Are those all hard-coded or can they be changed?
They're hard-coded and you cannot change it. Even in that devices, in the SATCOM device you can change, but they don't change it.
Right.
But in the local marine stuff, they are hard-coded and you cannot change.
Okay.
Please raise your questions for the your hands for the questions. Okay, we have.
Here we have 2, and here also.
Okay. Raise your hands, please, so Joanna can see you.
The first one.
Hey, how long did this research take you?
Pardon me?
How long did you do this research?
I'm doing it since 2 years now.
Oh, that's a lot.
So always when I have time, spare time, then I dig into it. Always when I am on the ship, then I try to figure out something new to gamble with that. So a friend of mine has a sailing yacht, and I sometimes visit him, and we try to figure out some stuff. And yeah, it's still ongoing.
Thanks.
So I think the third row was first.
Thank you. The next question right next to him.
Oh, there.
Next
go
to
ahead.
the person that asked the question now.
How did you manage to stumble upon this discovery with the vulnerabilities?
Pardon me?
How did you manage to stumble upon the vulnerabilities of the system, and which way did the company respond? I didn't quite get it from the presentation.
Okay. Yeah, the question was how I managed to disclose the vulnerabilities. So I contacted them. The one vendor I contacted by email, and the other vendor I contacted only over the web page because they had no email address for reporting vulnerabilities. So I put my emails on the web page. I reported everything and then give the information. So please contact me. And 1 week later, then they contacted me.
Thank you.
So,
we'll be taking next the question here.
So here there were one waiting.
And then we'll be going back to you guys in the back. And you'll be towards the end.
Thanks. So you mentioned that the architecture for the network in the yachts is similar to those in the automotive industry. Would the hacking a, let's say, luxury caravan that has much of the same functionalities as the yachts, would one go about it the same way? Would they have different attack vectors, or?
Was it with caravans or?
Oh yeah, luxury caravans. I don't know, or like big houses on wheels with satcom.
Yeah. I think most of the same problems they have. But in the automotive industry, the CAN bus is a little bit different. So everyone does his own stuff and own protocols on it. And in the maritime sector, they have a standardized CAN bus, and once you know how it is working, then you know the other things.
Thank you.
And there is no encryption yet on it.
Thank you. We'll be going in that area.
So there were.
No, I'm remembering you. I won't forget you.
Helena want also to ask.
Hi.
Okay, first
So thank you for your presentation. I was half expecting in fear in the what's next slide to see in uppercase airplanes. So
airplanes is a different story.
I was actually wondering, and that would be my question, if you would be.
Oops, microphone is not working.
So if you would be interested to use that approach, which was very methodological, to switch to airplanes or actually do some research, or if you know if there's any security research around this. Thank you.
To be honest, I know something about the aircraft industry, but I think it's a little bit different there. But I'm not really was analyzing aircraft problems there. So I know that in the aircraft industry that you navigate in a different way, but also relying on GPS signals. But they're jamming GPS signals from down, it's possible, yeah, but they have also alternate systems. And they also require to navigate by visual and other systems. So, yeah, it's a little bit different, yeah, but I'm not really sure what you can do there.
Thank you. Going to the next question.
Here was one.
We'll
Also, yeah.
Short one. Is NMEA a national or international organization, and how do they handle security?
Pardon me?
Is NMEA a national or international organization, and how do they handle security, if you know anything about it?
So NMEA is only the standardization environment for standardization, the messages that's going on over the network.
Yeah. It
the
starts
bus.
with N from national, or it's...
I don't know if they have a security thing inside now. So never handled it in detail yet.
We'll be coming here with in the front row, and I'm sorry, but this will be our last question. I will invite you guys to have a private talk afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you for the talk. I have a more general question on the response side, because this is very similar to other industries like automotive and aviation and healthcare. And at least on the automotive and healthcare side of things, there's been some movement from the regulators, like the National Highway Safety Authority in the US administration and the FDA and all those. Are there similar organizations, regulatory organizations for naval vessels, and what's your opinion about that? Do they show any interest in cybersecurity issues? Do they want to bring the vendors to the table and try to fix some of this stuff, or is it like not so much?
Good question, by the way. There are regulations also for cybersecurity, but mostly for ships bigger than 300 tons, regulated also under SOLA. So that's a different sector. So for commercial ships, regulated under the SOLA requirements, they have to follow some safety and security guidelines, and also cybersecurity is more and more mandatory for them. But for the private sector from yachts and so on, so there's not really a regulation yet. So that's why I'm focused only on that, because it's a broader playground. So it's not really regulated very well now. And maybe also the people are not aware about that. So mostly of the yacht owners, I think, not aware about that.
Again, because
from the GPS things, maybe, but the other risk about attacking their internet stuff on board, it's a different thing.
Thank you for your attendance, and please do approach Stefan for further questions and discussions over lunch, maybe here around. Thank you very much, Stefan, for coming. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.